All right, let's try to settle a debate that has been raging on playgrounds, in museums, and pretty much everywhere else for generations. Who was the most dangerous dinosaur that ever lived?
So when I ask that question, what's the first name, the first image that just explodes into your mind? For most of us, there's one dinosaur that immediately comes to mind, the one we all think of as the king, right?
Yep, of course. The tyrant lizard king himself, T-Rex. But here's the thing. Is it really that simple? Was T-Rex really truly the undisputed most dangerous predator? Or is the story a whole lot more complicated than that?
To figure this out, we're going to need a game plan. First, we're going to have to redefine what danger even means. Then we'll meet the heavy hitters, the brute force crushers, before moving on to the masters of the blade and the strategic specialists. And finally, we'll reach our verdict.
You see, to find the most dangerous dinosaur, we have to start thinking like paleontologists. And that means we need to look beyond just a big mouthful of teeth or sheer size. We have to redefine our terms. So, scientifically speaking, danger isn't just a single stat. It's really about ecological impact. It's about how good a predator was at hunting, at outcompeting its rivals, and at controlling entire populations of other animals. It's about who really ruled their world. So, let's start with our first category of contenders. These are the predators who lived by a very simple rule: overwhelming absolute power.
And that brings us right back to our prime suspect, T-Rex. But let's stop thinking of it as a movie monster and start looking at it as a highly specialized biological machine. A machine designed for one thing: crushing.
Every single part of T-Rex's head was built for total annihilation. That bite wasn't just for slicing meat. No way. Its thick, almost peg-like teeth and that incredibly rigid skull, they were made to shatter solid bone. The idea was simple. Once T-Rex got a hold of you, it was over. There was no escape. And T-Rex wasn't a one-off. If you head over to Asia, you find its close cousin, Tarbosaurus, running the exact same playbook. It used that same bone-crushing strategy to completely dominate its own environment. But here's the thing. Brute force wasn't the only way to get to the top of the food chain. Let's look at a totally different and, you could argue, an even more horrifying attack strategy. This one wasn't about crushing. It was all about slicing. This really shows two competing philosophies of how to be a top predator. If Tyrannosaurus was a sledgehammer built for a single catastrophic blow, then Giganotosaurus was a set of giant steak knives designed to inflict massive bleeding wounds and let its enormous prey just bleed into submission. This family of predators, the shark-toothed lizards, was incredibly successful. You had Giganotosaurus running things in South America, Carcharodontosaurus as its counterpart in Africa, and all of them used these blade-like teeth to inflict devastating wounds. It just proves you didn't need to crush bones to bring down the largest animals on the planet. Okay, so we've seen the hammer and we've seen the knife. But what about the specialists? The predators whose danger came from totally unique adaptations, from intelligence or from mastering a very specific environment. So meet Spinosaurus, a completely different kind of terror. This was not a land-based brawler. This was a semi-aquatic specialist, a river demon. It had these cone-shaped teeth, perfect for gripping slippery prey, and super dense bones to help it control its buoyancy in the water. It was the absolute master of its river world, a place where other giant predators just couldn't compete. And then you've got the dromaeosaurs, what we all know and love as raptors. Their danger wasn't just about their size, it was about their strategy. They combined intelligence, agility, and of course, that iconic sickle claw, which was a specialized weapon used to grip on and inflict some truly devastating wounds. This was a tactical approach to hunting. And this specialization showed up in so many different forms. You had Deinonychus, which relied on tactics. Then you have Utahraptor, which took the whole raptor toolkit and just scaled it up to a massive size for ambushes. And then there's Carnotaurus, the meat-eating bull, which was literally built for high-speed pursuit with a skull that basically acted like a battering ram. Each one was a master of its own deadly craft. So, we've seen the crushers, the slicers, and the specialists. We've seen that there were many, many ways to be dangerous back in the Mesozoic. So what is the final verdict? Who actually gets to wear the crown? While the science tells us pretty clearly that there is no single most dangerous dinosaur, that title really belongs to whichever predator was best adapted to rule its specific time and its specific place. The real story isn't about finding one champion, but about understanding a world that was filled with them. It's about a stunning diversity of deadly strategies. Danger came in the form of T-Rex's bone-shattering bite, Giganotosaurus's flesh-slicing teeth, Spinosaurus's complete aquatic dominance, and Deinonychus's technical intelligence.
And that really leads to one final thought. Danger wasn't one thing. It was a mosaic of deadly perfection. The brute force crusher, the master of the blade, or the strategic specialist. Which face of danger do you find the most terrifying?